I must say that Barack Hussein Obama is the greatest threat America has ever known politically.
That's right.
Elected representatives in Washington has had the courage to fully uphold their oath to defend our Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, of which Barack Hussein Obama is both. Not one of them has upheld their oath in a timely and complete manner on this issue. If only one of them had, maybe more would have followed. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise for America. Maybe this is our shock treatment. People need to wake up, as our dangers run much deeper than one man who has usurped the Oval Office. Barack Hussein Obama is not a socialist. He is far worse. He is a globalist and has promoted Sharia law in America. The health care bill has brought a radical Islamic idea called divitude to America. The idea, in practice, taxes non-Muslims as punishment for being non-Muslim, and the health care bill clearly exempts Muslims from the mandatory purchase of health care. A good friend and advisor of me in this campaign has told me that when I describe this famous or infamous picture, depending on how you look at it, of me yelling at incumbent Steve Israel on this health care bill that has brought divitude and a bunch of other things that are not consistent with our Constitution to our country, I would always say that I was yelling, and he said, well, maybe you should say you're debating. And I've decided that we're both wrong. This is the rage of the American people. And in today's politically correct society, rage, no matter what the context, is frowned upon. But if you remember the proverbial mama bear, and if you get in the middle of the mama bear and the baby cubs, you're going to be facing that mama bear rage, and you never want to face that. And our founding fathers, they had this mama bear or papa bear rage to claim freedom for humanity, because our constitutional republic was born out of the love of humanity. And I know exactly what we need in Washington is someone to go there with this papa bear and or mama bear rage of the American people and let it be known. It feels like almost all logic and reason has left our nation. Barack Hussein Obama has said he wants to fix some of the fundamental flaws in our Constitution. Through his actions and those that support him, it's clear his agenda is to destroy our Constitution, ignore our rights, and erode this nation's relationship with the Judeo-Christian God whose blessings were sought during the writing of our Constitution and all through the founding of America. The National Day of Prayer, ironically, has been declared unconstitutional. This day came born out of our people not being told what to pray, just being asked to pray during the writing of our Constitution. Our Constitution used to be considered a miracle and of God by the bulk of the American public. It is a covenant with God that our natural rights cannot be taken away by men and women in our government, or by any man or woman for that matter. No matter how corrupt our system becomes, and no matter how much the cult of political correctness spreads like a cancer on our society, this is why our Second Amendment is so important, so that the American people can protect our God-given rights, so that they can live free or die. George W. Bush, during his presidency, said, "Stop throwing the Constitution in my face. It's just a G-damn piece of paper." With leadership like that, and the likes of John McCain, whom, like Barack Hussein Obama, has also been funded by a man who literally wrote the book on globalism, George Soros, a man who despises what's left of American independence and freedom. And it's no wonder to me why this nation is slowly falling apart. I'm running so that the American people do not have to use their Second Amendment rights to protect themselves against their own government. I'm running to restore freedom without violence. In some ways, I've always felt the calling to protect our people and our way of life. When I was a senior year student at Bethpage High School, I asked my government teacher, my mentor, and former citizen statesman himself, Mr. Duffy, a question I would like all of you to take to heart today. Our class was on the topic of Native Americans and Manifest Destiny. I asked Mr. Duffy, what if the same types of people that made promises and funded Manifest Destiny to the American people at the time, what if they decided that that now a new Manifest Destiny was needed? What if they decided our constitutional republic was an outdated and primitive way of life and a waste of prime real estate? What if they decided that they had a new way of life that was so evolved in their eyes that it needed to be implemented by any means necessary? A new Manifest Destiny where freedom-loving Americans received the same manipulative, vicious, and violent treatment that the Native Americans had been treated with all those years ago. My friends, it has become more and more clear to me in my adult life every day that we are the Native Americans of this age. America is in the greatest danger she has ever been in. The moral fabric of our society has been incrementally and systematically eroded over a long period of time. It is the indifference of good men and women in America that has been the most dangerous culprit than those that promote this new Manifest Destiny agenda. I ask of you to rise up as a people together with me, seeking to restore our natural rights as endowed by our Creator. It has been far too long from the time when a significant percentage of the Americans were behind the words of Patrick Henry in defense of our freedoms and essential liberty. Today, I'm willing to pledge my life to serve this, the greatest nation of the world will ever known, a stern and yet humble echo of Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. Barack Hussein Obama and those in power that share his goals seek to destroy this nation by destroying not only our economy, but also this nation's relationship with the Judeo-Christian God. Obama has publicly mocked the Bible, and he has called America one of the world's largest Muslim nations on earth, while again, not one of our elected representatives has faulted him for it. This nation is the greatest nation this world has ever known, and it is a Judeo-Christian nation that accepts and welcomes others to come here and worship peacefully. And I don't care what our usurper-in-chief says to the contrary. If we had leadership that truly represented our people, this statement would not be such a rare statement by a citizen statement like myself. America is losing her soul. It is being given away and sold, and has been for quite a long time, much longer than any person that hears my words today has lived. The principles of freedom, of love, of peace, of virtue, of courage, of prosperity, of charity, of justice, of righteousness, and gratitude are being overrun by semantics and being replaced by a skewed view of what America is. As a result, we get entitlement programs, the cult of the politically correct, economic despair, fear, the sacrifice of essential liberty for a little temporary security, while we deserve and receive neither as a result. And more centralization of power leading to global governance, as it is called, but in reality, building towards a global government that this world is creeping towards. Separation of church and state was never intended to create a separation of the Judeo-Christian God from this nation. For those of you that do not share this faith, I urge you to stand with us no matter how you choose to represent ultimate love and truth in your life. I ask you to understand that your freedom of choice has been born out of and always will be fought for by those in this country that do embrace the Judeo-Christian God. We need to put our differences aside to save our Constitution and our nation right now, not in November, not in 2012, right here, right now, all over America.